Welcome back to Forkcast. This is episode 9, 13 trending open source projects on GitHub right now, including a model that reconstructs entire 3D worlds from streaming video at 20 frames per second. Let's get into it. Every messaging app you use assigns you a permanent identifier, your phone number on Signal, your username on Matrix, even a random key on Session. That single ID ties every conversation you've ever had back to you. Metadata is the real surveillance, and every platform leaks it. That's the problem simplex solves at the protocol level. It is the first messaging network with no user identifiers whatsoever, not even random numbers. Instead, it uses pairwise per-queue identifiers, so each of your contacts gets their own independent communication channel with no shared metadata between them. How deep does this go? End-to-end encryption per queue using NaCl CryptoBox, double ratchet with post-quantum resistant key exchange on every step, plus an additional encryption layer so the server cannot correlate sent and received ciphertexts. Content padding, encrypted timestamps, transport isolation with separate TCP connections per profile, even SOCKS proxy and Tor support. It is available on iOS, Android, desktop, and terminal. No phone number, no email, no identifier, just cryptography. simplex, the messenger that treats metadata as the threat it actually is. You need a managed database for a side project, a CI pipeline for your open source repo, and monitoring that does not cost $200 a month. So you open 15 tabs and start hunting through pricing pages, trying to figure out which ones have an actual free tier and which ones are just a 14-day trial dressed up as generous. This is the problem Free4Dev solves with a single markdown file. It is a community-curated list of SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS offerings with genuine free tiers for developers and infrastructure engineers. 1,938 contributors have built this into a 126,000-star reference covering over 40 categories. Every major cloud provider's always free limits are here. GCP's E2 micro VM and 5 GB of cloud storage, AWS's 750 hours of EC2 and 1 million Lambda requests, Azure's B1S VMs and Cosmos DB, Oracle's generous 4-core ARM instances. But the real value is in the niche finds: free managed Postgres, free CI minutes beyond what GitHub Actions offers, free email APIs, free monitoring with real retention, free DNS with API access. The criteria are strict. It must be a genuine free tier, not a trial, and it must include TLS. If you are building anything on a budget, Free4Dev is the first bookmark you need. Your car shipped with lane keeping and adaptive cruise control in 2019, and it has not improved one bit since. The manufacturer moved on to the next model year. You are stuck with whatever mediocre driver assistance they calibrated at the factory. OpenPilot takes a different approach entirely. It is an open-source operating system for robotics that currently upgrades the driver assistance on over 300 supported cars. Built by comma.ai with a community of 686 contributors and 17,000 commits, it runs on the Comma 4 device and replaces your car's stock system with continuously improving AI. The software is 61% Python and 32% C++, with safety code enforced in C on the Panda CAN interface following ISO 26262 guidelines. 10 comma devices run continuous replay testing in a closet, and hardware-in-the-loop tests validate every safety-critical path. The whole thing installs with a single curl command. This is not a hobby project. It is a real operating system for cars, shipping 63 releases over 7 years. And because it is open source under the MIT license, every improvement the community makes benefits every supported vehicle. OpenPilot turns your car into a platform that actually gets better over time. You ask ChatGPT whether to buy NVIDIA stock, and it gives you a balanced paragraph about potential upside and downside, then disclaims it is not financial advice. That is useless for actual investing. Real value investing requires adversarial analysis, cross-verified math, and the discipline to say no 95% of the time. ai-berkshire is a Claude Code and Codex skill framework that encodes the methodologies of 4 investing masters: Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, Duan Yongping, and Li Lu. 18 skills across 5 categories cover deep research, earnings analysis, industry screening, portfolio management, and structured thinking tools. Here is what makes this credible. The author runs it with real money and published verified returns, plus 69% in 2024 and plus 66% in 2025, beating the S&P 500 by roughly 50 percentage points both years. The framework forces hard answers. 4 agents analyze every company from different perspectives and must produce a buy, pass, or gray zone verdict with a specific price range. Financial calculations use Python decimal for exact math, with a built-in cross-validation tool that flags discrepancies above 1% across multiple data sources. And its own 8-item red flag checklist provides instant veto power. This is not stock-picking hype. It is a structured research engine that happens to have a verified 2-year track record of outperformance. Traditional 3D reconstruction from video uses SLAM or structure from motion, which drift over long sequences, or neural radiance fields, which require offline optimization that takes hours per scene. You cannot walk through a building and get a live 3D map as you move. lingbot-map changes that. It is a feed-forward 3 foundation model from the Robian team that reconstructs entire scenes from monocular video in a single streaming pass, no per-scene training needed. It runs at roughly 20 frames per second on 518 by 378 resolution and handles sequences exceeding 10,000 frames without drift. The core innovation is the geometric context transformer, which combines anchor context, a pose reference window, and trajectory memory with paged KV cache attention via flash infer. The team demonstrated a 25,000 frame indoor walkthrough, a 13-minute continuous capture rendered entirely through the offline pipeline from a single model forward pass. 3 model variants are available on Hugging Face and Model Scope, with the long variant recommended for large-scale scenes. State-of-the-art results on Kitty and Oxford Spire's benchmarks put it ahead of both online streaming and offline optimization methods. This is not incremental. It is a fundamentally different approach to 3D perception. Switching gears now, here is what is happening in developer infrastructure and tools. Your AI coding agent starts from 0 every session. It greps for function definitions, reads the same files again, and burns tokens rediscovering structure it already understood yesterday. There is no persistent index that survives between invocations. Codebase-memory-mcp is a high-performance code intelligence server that indexes your entire codebase into a persistent knowledge graph and keeps it there. It ships as a single static binary with 0 dependencies. The numbers are staggering. The Linux kernel, 28 million lines of code across 75,000 files, is fully indexed in 3 minutes. 158 tree-sitter grammars are compiled directly into the binary, supporting every major language. 5 structural graph queries replace dozens of grep and read cycles, using about 3,400 tokens instead of 412,000. That is a 99.2% reduction. 14 MCP tools are available. Semantic search using bundled nomic embeddings with 0 API keys, cipher-like graph queries, dead code detection, Louvain community detection for discovering functional modules, Git diff impact mapping, and architecture decision record management. An interactive 3D graph visualization runs at localhost 9749. It auto-configures 11 different AI coding agents with a single install command. This is the missing persistence layer that turns coding agents from amnesiacs into engineers who remember your codebase. Your NumPy pipeline runs fine on 10,000 data points. Then you scale to 10 million, and it takes 45 seconds per operation. Moving to GPU normally means rewriting everything in CUDA C++ or PyTorch, which is a completely different API with its own mental model. cupy solves this with a drop-in replacement for NumPy and SciPy that runs on NVIDIA and AMD GPUs. You change import numpy to import cupy, and most of your code accelerates with no other modifications. The project has been maintained by Preferred Networks and 375 contributors for over 7 years, accumulating 31,000 commits. Under the hood, it integrates QBLIS, QDNN, QRAND, QSolver, QSparse, NCCL, and QTensor, exposing raw CUDA kernel support through raw kernel when you need it. Starting from version 13, QSignal, the GPU signal processing library, is absorbed directly into cupy, so FFTs, convolutions, and filter design all run on GPU without an extra package. It supports CUDA 12 and 13 on x86 and ARM, plus experimental ROCm 7.0 for AMD GPUs. Install it with pip install cupy CUDA 12x and you are done. If you do scientific computing in Python and you are not already using a GPU, cupy is the lowest friction path to a 10x to 100x speedup. Mac's built-in dictation is slow, misses technical terms, and requires an internet connection. Otter.ai and other cloud services send your voice to remote servers. For developers, journalists, and anyone who values privacy, there has not been a good local-first dictation app that is actually fast. FluidVoice is that app. It is an open-source macOS dictation tool that runs entirely on-device, supporting 8 different speech models you can switch between depending on your needs. Nemotron Speech 3.5 handles about 40 languages with streaming output. Parakeet Flash is the lowest latency option for English dictation with near zero delay between speaking and seeing text. For maximum accuracy across 14 languages, Cohere Transcribe uses a 1.4 gigabyte model. Whisper covers 99 languages from tiny to large variants. The standout feature is Fluid Intelligence, a private on-device AI runtime that handles formatting, capitalization, and post-processing with no cloud dependencies. There is also command mode for controlling your Mac by voice, launching apps, and running shortcuts. The overlay is notch-aware on MacBooks, and everything from AI enhancement to audio history is opt-in. Install it with brew install --cask FluidVoice. It has shipped 35 releases off 748 commits. FluidVoice is the dictation tool Mac should have shipped with. You drop a 40-page PDF into your RAG pipeline, and the AI agent confidently answers questions based on garbled text where tables became word soup, formulas vanished entirely, and the reading order jumped between columns. Feeding raw PDFs to LLMs is a guaranteed hallucination factory. MinerU is a document parsing engine that transforms complex PDFs, DOCX, PPTX, XLSX, and images into clean, structured Markdown and JSON that LLMs can actually understand. Version 3.4 just shipped with PP OCR v6, which improved OCR accuracy by 11% on the Omni DocBench benchmark, while making inference 100% faster. It handles 109 languages, converts formulas to LaTeX, tables to HTML with cross-page merging, and preserves heading hierarchy and reading order. There are 3 engines. The pipeline engine is fast and runs on CPU or GPU without hallucination risk. The VLM engine uses a 1.2 billion parameter vision language model for maximum accuracy, including image and chart parsing, and the hybrid engine balances both. On the hybrid engine, selecting medium effort instead of high loses only 0.13 accuracy points, while gaining 35 to 220% speed depending on platform. MinerU also ships an MCP server, so you can plug it directly into Claude Desktop or Cursor and Parse documents inline during agentic workflows. With 72,000 stars and backing from Open Data Lab, this is becoming the standard document ingestion layer for the agent ecosystem. Next up, applied AI tools that are changing how we work. You have a trading idea. Buy Bitcoin when the 20-day moving average crosses above the 50-day. To test it, you need to find historical data, write a backtesting script, compute metrics, and generate a report. That is a weekend of work before you even know if the idea has merit. Vibe trading turns that into a single natural language command. Developed by the HCUDS lab at the University of Hong Kong, it is an open-source AI trading agent that connects your prompts to 18 market data sources with smart auto fallback, generates strategy code, runs backtests with validation metrics, and exports results to PineScript, MetaTrader 5, or interactive HTML reports. There are 29 pre-built swarm presets: investment committee, quant research, crypto analyst, macro strategist, risk manager, each running specialized agents in parallel. The shadow account feature is particularly clever. You upload your broker trade journal, and it extracts your implicit trading rules, runs a shadow backtest, and shows you where you broke your own strategy with early exits or missed signals. OneLine benchmarks 456 pre-built alpha factors against any market and time period, instantly categorizing them as alive, reversed, or dead. It is pip installable as Vibe Trading AI under the MIT license. Vibe Trading collapses the research to insight loop from days to minutes. You walk into a system design interview, and the interviewer asks you to design a URL shortener. You know the pieces: a database, a cache, a load balancer, but you cannot explain why you would pick Redis over memcached, or when consistent hashing matters versus a simple modulo. The concepts are scattered across blog posts, conference talks, and textbooks with wildly different levels of depth. System Design 101 is a single repository with hundreds of visual guides that explain complex systems using clear diagrams and simple language. It is organized into 13 categories: API and web development, databases and storage, microservices, networking fundamentals, security patterns, caching strategies, message queues, CI/CD pipelines, cloud architecture, DevOps practices, architectural patterns, programming paradigms, and concurrency models. Each guide is a standalone visual explainer with a diagram and concise text, licensed under Creative Commons for sharing. With 83,000 stars and a companion YouTube channel from ByteByteGo, this has become the go-to reference for anyone preparing for system design interviews or just trying to understand how production systems actually work. The README is auto-generated from structured data files, so the table of contents stays perfectly in sync. This is not just interview prep. It is a masterclass in distributed systems thinking, one diagram at a time. You ship a new API endpoint on Friday. On Monday, a security researcher emails you about an IDOR vulnerability that exposes user data. A manual penetration test would have caught it, but those cost $5,000 to $50,000 and take 2 weeks to schedule. Static analysis flagged 400 issues, and 380 of them were false positives. Strix is an open-source AI security testing tool that deploys autonomous agents with a full hacker toolkit to find and validate real vulnerabilities with actual proof-of-concept exploits. The agents are not just scanners. They carry an HTTP proxy for request manipulation, browser automation for testing XSS and CSRF, interactive terminal environments, and a Python runtime for custom exploit development. The graph of agents architecture lets multiple specialized agents run in parallel, coordinating their discoveries for comprehensive coverage. It detects injection attacks, server-side request forgery, XML external entities, race conditions, deserialization flaws, JWT vulnerabilities, and authentication bypasses. Every finding is validated with a working POC, not a scanner signature. The CLI is a single curl install. It runs targets in a Docker sandbox and generates actionable reports with remediation steps. With 27,000 stars and an Apache 2.0 license, Strix brings penetration testing from an expensive manual service to something you can run on every pull request. You recorded a 45-minute feature demo for your open-source project. It has great content, but also 47 UMs, 12 long pauses, washed-out colors, and 0 captions. Editing this in DaVinci Resolve means learning a timeline-based interface that assumes you already know what a J-cut is. Video Use, from the Browser Use team, lets you edit videos by chatting with a coding agent. Drop your raw footage into a folder, describe what you want, and the agent produces a final MP4. It never watches the video directly. Instead, it reads a compact 12-kilobyte transcript with word-level timestamps from 11 Labs Scribe and generates visual composites on demand only at decision points. The pipeline auto-removes filler words and dead air, applies color grading to every segment, adds 30-millisecond audio fades at cuts to eliminate pops, and burns subtitles in customizable uppercase chunks. Hyperframes, Remotion, Manim, or PIL generate animation overlays in parallel subagents. A self-evaluation loop renders the output, checks every cut boundary for visual jumps and audio artifacts, and fixes issues automatically in up to 3 retry passes. It works with Claude Code, Codex, or Hermes, and is fully open source under the MIT license. Video Use turns the video editor into something you talk to, not something you fight with. That's all 13 projects from Forkcast Today, Episode 9. Every GitHub link is in the description. Grab anything that caught your eye, subscribe, and you will never miss the next trending breakout repo on Forkcast.